I call for the lowering of the voting age from 21 to 18 years to empower younger Singaporeans to have a say at our national elections.
A number of countries have lowered their voting age. Some to increase voter turnout, others perhaps for perceived political advantage. We don't have the first problem, and we should certainly not do for the second reason.
Since Singapore's first general elections in 1948, the voting age here has been 21.
It's one of 8 countries in the world where the voting age is 21 or older.
And with the general election slated to happen this year, let's take a deep dive into the conversations regarding the current state of our voting age. In 2019, our neighbours Malaysia lowered their voting age from 21 to 18, with UMNO MP Hishamuddin Hussein stating it's a move that empowers youth in the country. So this idea of lowering the voting age in Singapore is not a new suggestion. It's been brought up through the years by various political parties. For example, in 2019, Progress Singapore Party's Tan Cheng Bock called for the voting age to be lowered to 18 to give young Singaporeans a say in choosing their leaders. In reply, then Trade and Industry Minister Chan Chun Sing said that the voting age is set at 21 as the government takes a graduated approach concerning legal ages for responsibilities in Singapore. Then, Workers' Party Chair Sylvia Lim brought the topic up again in 2023, where she stated this was a form of age-based discrimination and a big disservice to our young. So at the age of 18, you're able to get a driving license in Singapore, register a business. However, the age of majority in Singapore is 21 years old, the age where you gain full legal rights and responsibilities as a Singapore citizen. Some argue that the voting age should be lowered to 18 to give youth a stronger voice in Parliament, while others feel that youth might not be mature enough for such a decision and should instead focus on their personal responsibilities at the time, such as school or national service instead. So, should Singapore stick to its current voting age of 21? Well, we went to have a chat with a few people on the streets, and I'm curious to find out what happened. Let's take a look.
I don't think we should lower the voting age. I think 21 and above is the right age, I believe.
No, 21 is just fine. Perfect, yeah.
I honestly don't care.
I don't think it really matters.
I don't think it matters.
No.
I think they should increase. Maybe 25. You're more mature and you understand the politics better.
I think it can be lowered to like 18 because there's a lot of laws that also allow people to do like a lot more things when they turn 18.
I feel like,
no.
yeah, because I feel like you're still developing at that period.
At 18, I don't think I was mature enough to form a sort of opinion on this sort of thing, but not to say that there aren't people out there who have the mental maturity. I just say majority don't.
I think nowadays the generation, they don't really talk about this. I think they are tired of it already.
I think the youth are they are concerned about politics, but I don't hear much about local politics.
Yeah, it's mostly like external politics regarding nowadays America or whatnot. Yeah.
I think there's like a mix of it. Like there's some people who are like interested, but then I also know of some that don't really care about it. Sometimes we like discuss about politics that's going around the world.
We don't talk about this kind of stuff because honestly, I don't care. If she was to remember about it, I would just listen.
Honestly, when I was 18 years old, I was like, why didn't they lower it? But now I'm 26. I think when you turn 25, the prefrontal lobe complex develops, and I agree that it should be a bit higher.
Right now I'm 26, but when I was 21, so who am I supposed to vote for? I don't really know, and everyone is like, oh, vote for this, but you don't really actually know. So that generation, yeah, we're still clueless. So, but maybe for now, after the years have passed, at this age, for 21 years old, they probably might have known better than what I known previously.
So I don't think at 18 I would have the mental maturity or like understanding of the political situation of our country to make a wise choice on my vote with my vote.
No, I think it's too much pressure. I don't want.
Now those were some interesting answers. But let's go have a chat with Professor Elvin Lim from SMU's College of Integrative Studies to find out more about youth and politics in Singapore. Hi, Prof Elvin.
Hey, Edward. Welcome. Come, have a seat.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us today. I'm going to cut straight to the chase.
Yes.
Why is the voting age in Singapore 21?
As far as I know, it was more of a non-decision than a decision because the age of majority for the British was 21 and we simply inherited that.
So it hasn't changed through the years, but there have been some voices who have been advocating for it. What are your thoughts on that? Is, for example, 18 an appropriate age for someone to be voting?
On the one hand, we think of voting as one of a series of activities that people can engage in, to participate, to engage. And so it's good to have people participating and engage as soon as possible. On the other hand, you also want to ask what the equivalent of the age of majority is. Is it still 21? Is it less? We want people to be voting for the issues rather than on emotional responses to demagogic appeals. And so people debate whether or not we require a higher age limit or a lower age limit. But finally, I would say one way to sort of reconcile this is to think about what really is our conception of citizenship? What are we expecting from citizens? And then what might be a reasonable age in which we start expecting our fellow compatriots to start performing those acts? Engagement is a key word because engagement correlates with many other things like motivation, willingness to sacrifice your time, ability to collaborate, etc. So engagement translated to political science or politics is voting, your ability to participate, to volunteer. And the reason why this is important is because we feel that this then will then generate a whole host of other positive activities like volunteering, like if you're so willing, participating and maybe running for office, giving your time to various organizations, donating money. All of this is part of the works. And so once you have that view that you basically want people who are engaged rather than switched off, participating in a range of ways. And to be fair, voting only happens once every 5 years. So it's not a very good metric of the other forms of activity and participation and engagement that one can be engaged in. And by the way, army also is a form of citizen participation.
So Prof Elvin, you were talking earlier about, as part of the process, setting aside time to be involved in politics, engaging with the political process. Now, I remembered when I was in school, when I was 17, 18, I had a lot of time for that actually. I was quite interested, I was quite excited. But then when I started working, then my priority really became much less politics and much more the day-to-day, just making sure that I'm getting my job done. So actually, isn't it a good idea to get these 18-year-olds involved?
I would say it's good to socialize people when they're young. Get them into the system, treat them like adults and have them think like adults. And sometimes if you treat someone like an adult, they're more likely to act like one. It's good to socialize them. However, I would also say that even as you got more busy with work, you might actually have had more incentive to start voting because now you have stakes in the game, whereas the young do not.
So Prof Elvin, you mentioned earlier about the concerns of voters. And I do want to say that younger people, those in their late teens, tend to have, I would argue, they care more about things, for example, like the climate, for example, like social justice issues, than people who are older than them. And does that then mean that their concerns will be less important to the people in charge than the people courting the votes?
I think that's a really good point. And I would say that stands as one of the more plausible reasons as to why we may want to find ways to bring youth voices into the picture. Voting is one method, but potentially other modalities. But that's exactly one of the most plausible points, like I said, because a democracy only works if it meaningfully captures all of the opinions, whether or not it's diverse or homogeneous. It's good to have all of that in the picture. Now, it is also true that, in general, young people, understandably, are more invested. See, the investment argument is not necessarily a bad thing, right? So they are invested in sustainability for very good reason. They will live to tell the effects of the decisions made by earlier generations. So then the question is, whatever political system we have, does it calibrate for this? That either via virtual representation or direct representation, it is certainly important that the voices of the youth are incorporated into decision making.
That is a great answer. Thank you so much, Prof Elvin.
Thanks for having me.
So, we've heard some really interesting insights today from Singaporeans about youth and the voting age in Singapore. I'm actually still quite ambivalent about the issue because, on the one hand, I can see how lowering the voting age might be a burden for younger Singaporeans. But on the other hand, it could give them a greater say in the future of Singapore. So, what do you think? Should we keep the voting age at 21? Should it be lowered or even increased? Let us know in the comments. You've been watching The Current State.